Hi guys, I'm here with another layout. This time I'm going to use these two pieces of colored cardstock for my background, and I'm going to make a kind of, it's not, I guess it's a diagonal line, but it's not exactly 45 degrees. I'm just making a line here, and I just wanted, I don't know what I don't know how I decided where I wanted it to go. I just wanted it to be kind of slopey looking. And so I just drew it with pencil, and then I went ahead and trimmed it with my trimmer right along the line. So I have two pieces, and the green larger piece will be the bottom, and I'm just gluing it down to the blue piece, and I conveniently ran out of ATG refill in the middle of this, so you'll see me refill my gun. I do have a video that shows refilling your ATG gun step by step in quite a lot of detail. So if you need help with this process, check out my blog, or you could go to my channel and search for ATG refill, or you could go to my blog, and one of the pages at the top of my blog says scrapbooking resources, and the video is linked through on that page. So just check out my scrapbooking resources. So I kind of glued those two pieces together, and then I'm putting a piece of washi tape that kind of spans the divide of the two. And I wasn't sure which photo I was going to use here, but I decided to use just the one of the Ferris wheel. And at this point I have no idea what I'm doing. All I knew was I wanted a background with a slopey two-color cardstock background. I really like this stamp set that says sunny with a definite chance of, and then a whole bunch of different options. And it reminded me of a paper that I got from Lemon Lush from Studio Calico with this kind of repeated phrase across the top of it. So I'm going to stamp this sunny with a definite chance of phrase all the way across this multiple times. And for a long stamp like this, I like to just put it upside down on my grid and make sure that it's in a nice straight line before I attach it onto my block, because these long stamps can sometimes get out of shape. So I'm using Stampin' Up! Bermuda Bay ink, and I just had to check that the color would show up the way I wanted it to on that blue cardstock, and it does, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. And when I use a big block like this is the only block that fits for this stamp the only block that I have that fits. And so you'll notice that I'm using a baby wipe to just wipe off all of the extra, because I tend to be pretty messy with my blocks, and if my block touches down on the cardstock someplace, it will transfer that extra ink. And so I always just clean off all of the extra ink. When you use a really large block, that's one of the problems, is that you can get too much ink on it. So this is my general composition, and it takes me a little while actually to figure out what else I want to do with this. So for now, I'm just kind of having a look at some embellishments. So these are the Simple Stories embellishments that come with the kit. It's from the Good Day Sunshine collection. And I think almost all of the products I use are going to be from the Good Day Sunshine collection. And I'm just looking for anything that is long and thin. So I'm looking for horizontal rectangles here, because I'm thinking I might run some shapes that are going to run parallel to that slopey diagonal line that I have. So I also grabbed the two sticker sheets, and I'm going to keep them in the wings just because I know that there are some horizontal rectangles in those sheets as well. But first I'm going over to my sewing machine. So I already did some sewing, but I just wanted to show you that I'm using a strip. What I did was I went to that leftover strip of green, so that would be the top portion of what I cut off of the green piece, and I just cut a strip off of it so that it's exactly the same angle as the cut that was already made. And then I'm using it as a template, so I have some repositionable adhesive on it, and I'm just using it as a template. And sometimes I'm not making them evenly, these lines that I'm drawing on with my sewing machine, I'm not making them evenly spaced, so sometimes I'm making it a little bit less than one strip width, and sometimes I'm making it one strip width. but I am still using that strip as my template just to kind of guide my sewing. I started not using any template and I was just doing it freehand, and it became clear that it would go off kilter fairly quickly if I didn't have a template. So here I didn't need to use a template because the stamping was already in a line, and so I just followed where the stamping was. And so I'm just sewing over on the other side of that, so I'm not actually sewing the strip down, or I'm trying not to actually, I actually did nick it a couple of times, but I'm trying to not sew on the strip. I'm just sewing right alongside of it, just to keep my sewing nice and straight. This is what my dad would call a jig, which is something that you use to kind of make sure that you saw wood in the right shape every time. So last strip. So I did change my thread color to blue for the top part just so that it would be a tone-on-tone stitching look no matter where I was doing it. So now I just have to cut off all of these little stray threads, and I kind of, I don't know, the thread got tangled there, so I had to pull it out. And I do use a white thread in my bobbin for almost all of my sewing, so you might notice that some of those threads are white. That's why the bottom ones are white. So there we go. It's all trimmed up now. And because I do a number of things with these layouts before I put them in my albums, and they do hang around my room for at least a month before they make it into an album, I am going to tape down the edges of this just to make sure that those pieces of thread don't come unpulled in the process of the month that it will be kicking around my room. I have to take photos of it, and then I kind of move it from one place to another. So there we go. I'm just I'm just using my thumb to rub some of the temporary adhesive off that was left. And so, yeah, at this point, I'm thinking about having the photo be straight, like perpendicular to, like kind of lined up with the layout. But then I changed it. See how now it's lined up with the slopey lines? So I'm just taking a random assortment of rectangular embellishments and I'm placing them randomly all over the place on the layout. And now I thought I'd add some circles just for some visual interest, and so I spread them around the layout as well. And now I'm adding some hearts as well. And these are all from the Simple Stories die cuts that came in the kit. And now I'm having a look at whether there are any shapes in the sticker sheet that I want to use. And before I do that, I'm going to spell out the title. So these red stickers are a little bit tricky to get off. They're not quite as bad as the Fancy Pants set that I had a couple of months ago, but they're just a little tricky. They want to peel apart instead of the sticker part wants to stay on the sheet, and then you just get the top layer. So I'm kind of very carefully peeling these, and I'm kind of bending the paper to try to get it broken through to the sticker layer. And one of them, I think the one I'm working on now, the letter D, I ended up, I think I had to just peel it off. So I'll have to glue the D down. So I'm spelling out Canada Day, and I knew I wanted it to be red letters because Canada Day is our colors are all about red and white. And then I wanted a contrasting color, and I wanted tile stickers for the date, which is 2014. And I'm actually going to not use that because it's too different. But you'll see me change it in a few minutes. So I'm just going to use the thread line here to line up my title. And that makes it really easy to get it straight. And then there's my date, but no, even before I even stuck it down, I knew that that wasn't going to work. So what I'm doing now is I'm just over in my basket of small letter stickers, and I'm looking for some red tile letter stickers. And even better, I found these white ones with red print on them. And that kind of coordinates better with some of the other things on this layout. So I've got a couple, like Happy Summer there is on a white background. So this is one more thing on a white background. There's only a few things on white background, so I wanted to, I chose those letters, so it would be one of those things. You see three other things on there. Plus, I don't know if you can count the arrow or not. I'm gonna put some more arrows on eventually. Maybe right now. Yep. So again, the arrows provide a little bit more balance with the white because they're on a white background. I don't normally like stickers that have a white background on a colored background like that, but I do like it in this case. So now I'm going to Mist My Sun, which is a die cut that came in the kit, and just removing some of the excess ink with my paper towel. And now this is custard, so I used Taxi, and now this is custard, which is an more orangey color of yellow. And I didn't want it to be all one shade, you know, I just wanted it to have a little bit of visual interest. But then there was too much of a line between the orange and then the yellow, just because it's such a fragile die cut. I didn't want to have to use any kind of blending tools to try to kind of actually use any kind of techniques to blend it together. I was hoping I could just mist it together. And so once I coated the whole thing with another coat of yellow, then the line between the yellow and the orange disappeared, and it's more along the lines of what I was looking for. So there, I did have to glue down that D, that letter D, because it was not, it had peeled. When I took it off the letter sheet, I lost the sticker part of it. So then I just stuck down that 2014. I lined it up a little bit better than it was because I'm not really going for that jagged bouncy look on this layout. Adding a couple of more arrows, and I want things to hang off the sides of the page, so arrows are going to do a good job of that. They'll add some white to the page, and they'll also be able to hang off. So I'm just looking for the right thing to put down in this corner that can kind of hang off. It has to be something that I don't mind losing a little bit of. And so I can't remember what that one says. It says Sunshine and Daydreams. And then that red, I did a quick switch there just to put some red there. And I was going to just glue that down, and then I had better thoughts and decided to use dimensional adhesive so that the cloud, the one thing that's up in the blue section, which is the cloud, which provides a bit of balance for the photo because it's kind of opposite of it, that cloud is up on pop dots, and the photo is going to be up on pop dots as well, just to provide a little bit more interest and a little bit more dimension, some shadow from the photo. This layout is not very dimensional. I mean, it has a lot of texture because of the sewing, but most of the things that are going on this layout are flat, and so I needed to pop dot a couple of things. So now I'm just experimenting with trying to find a journaling pen that I could have used that one, but I decided to go with this blue one because you can just see it a little bit better. The green on green would have been a little hard to read, and so I'm going to place my journaling right here, but I'm doing it in such a light blue color that it doesn't add a whole lot of weight to the area that the letters are going in, that the words are going in. And so here I actually was kind of making it up as I went, and so I wasn't sure how long this journaling was going to be, so I just kind of kept going. And now I really don't want to move this heart because I like it there, so I'm just going to journal around it. And the journaling is a little bit longer than I expected it to be or planned it to be, and it's not quite as neat as I really wanted it to be either. I'm not 100% happy with the journaling on this one, but it's good. It's okay. And now this was one element that doesn't have any white on it at all, and you'll notice that every other thing has white except for well, I'm going to fix everything that doesn't have white. So I'm just adding a couple of little highlight marks with my white gel pen just to bring some white onto that Hello die cut. I could have outlined it, but I didn't want the wobbly look that comes with my outlines. So I just decided to add the little highlights. And then a lot of the other colored elements have white lettering on them, so they match for that reason. I'm just letting that air dry, that sunshine die cut. So here I go. I'm just putting little highlights on all of the hearts because they also don't have any white on them. And you saw me replace one of the paper die cuts with a sticker, and that also adds a tiny bit of interest to this layout because the stickers are shinier than the die cuts. The die cuts are a matte cardstock, like they're not shiny at all, and the stickers have a kind of a glossy look to them, so it adds a bit of visual interest. You're not picking up on it in the video, and it really doesn't make that big of a difference, but I did want to kind of vary it a little bit. So some of them are stickers and some of them are die cuts, but most of them are die cuts. So now I'm just attaching everything to all of the places, and I'm basically just trying to get some balance between the colors and shapes that are on there. So I have, the colors of blue and yellow and pink and green, and then a couple of shots of red there. So I'm trying to make sure that everything in all of those colors are spread out. But then I've got the circles, they need to be spread out, and the hearts need to be spread out, and the arrows need to be spread out. I'm also mindful of trying to spread the white around the elements that have a lot of white on them. I'm trying to spread them around the layout as well. Yeah, so I'm having a bit of trouble with balance with this one. I want both of those things there, but it just wasn't working for me. The white, there was too much white together, so I replaced the Happy Summer, which was white, with this sticker, which it has kind of like the rainbow effect on it. I'm going to put a smaller arrow up there so that it doesn't hang. I didn't want two things hanging off the side beside each other, and then I put the other arrow down in the other corner. So it's all about, all of this part here, this kind of fiddly part, is all about just trying to get it to look balanced to my eye. It might not look balanced to anybody else's eye, but I at least want to look at it and feel like it looks balanced. So I just moved that heart over because I didn't want to add something there. It looks like I kind of feel like there's enough, and I didn't want to add something. So I just moved the heart over so I could trim it off and have it be dangling off the edge. Now when you have things hang off the edge, so here I'm moving that D over, and I kind of peeled another layer off of it. Because I just didn't put it down in the right place the first time, so I just had to shift it over a little bit. Now, when I dangle things off the edge and cut off the edges of things, I'm just writing in, there was a blank that you could check, and so I checked off the blank and put celebrate. When I dangle things off the edge and trim them like that, what I'm doing is it kind of creates energy on your page, like it looks like things are moving, like they're going off the page. And so I like to do that. I almost all my layouts have stuff coming off the edges of them. So the kit came with these brads, and I absolutely love these brads. The brads with the little metal rings around them, and then like a glossy inside. I forget what those are called. There's a name for them. I know what it is. I'm not remembering it now while I'm narrating. But I absolutely love these brads, and I haven't used them in quite some time. I've been kind of moving towards using the enamel dots, and lots of enamel dots are coming in the kits, but I have to say these have a really nice finished look to them, and they add a lot more texture. And they're a little bit more work because you have to poke a hole and get them kind of situated right. They're also harder to try out, like you have to kind of take them apart from their package and lay them flat in order to figure out where you want to put them. At least I do, like I always want to kind of try them out before I put them on. So I'm just poking my holes, and I'm using the little Amy Tangerine sewing tool, like the poker, the paper piercer that comes with her sewing kits, like the templates for stitching. So I didn't want to forget which Brad went with which sticker. I'm not going to forget, but I wasn't sure. I never know when I'm going to be interrupted in this process. So I'm just poking it, and then I was using my piece of black foam to secure it on the back, just to make sure that I wasn't poking into my mat. I don't want to cause any damage on my work surface, so I just poke into the black thing. And this one here, I want it to go a certain way. I want it to be lined up with the stripes and the washi tape, so I just kind of twisted it a bit after I put it in. And now my sun die cut is not quite dry. I wish I should have just hit it with a heat gun, but I didn't. And so it's still wet when I'm gluing it here, and so it's going to be a little bit more fussy than it needs to be. If it was dry, I wouldn't have had this problem at all, but I got like adhesive stuck all over everything, and it was a bit of a disaster. But it wasn't a disaster, but it was not how I planned it to work out. I'm just cutting some of these little dimensional squares in half so that they're even tinier, so that they will fit on this intricate little die cut. And then I'm going to peel off the backs. And so this one will hang over, so the part that hangs over off the photo will have the dimensional adhesive on it, and then the part that sits right flat on the photo has the regular adhesive on it. So there we go. And so in the top blue section, the only things that are there are a sun and a cloud. And so now you'll get to see some close-ups of this one. So it's sunny with a definite chance of celebrations is what that stamp ends up saying. And then there's my messy journaling. Oh, I wish I had done a better job of that. But yeah, I kind of like this one. It's really different for me. It's not the kind of layout that I usually do, but I've been wanting to make one of these slanty layouts for a while, and I just never had, I don't know, the inspiration, or I don't know, it's just been kind of sitting in the back of my head for probably several months now. So I'm glad I finally got a chance to do a slanty layout. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think by leaving me a comment. Take care. Have a great scrappy week.